Hello, I'm Maximus Ortiz, and I'm doing my artist response for the play Miss Julie. I'm going to be a costume designer. So, in the 1800s in Sweden, fashion around that time for women were only dresses, and they had to have worn some kind of apron. Um, it was Um, they were forced to wear aprons regardless of who they were or where they came from. Um, didn't matter if they were going to churches or weddings, they'd have to have an apron on if they were a woman. Um, depending on the depending on the social class or how much wealth the women had would depend on how the apron would look and what it'd be made out of. But for Miss Julie, I'd figure she'd have a very nice dress, um, and she'd have a handkerchief or a head wrap that would tie under her chin, and she'd have to wear that outside at all times. But she would look something like this. And with Gene, him being a valet and a servant, he'd still be nicely dressed due to the fact that he is a valet. Um, he'd have on a all black suit, buttoned up, with a white undershirt and maybe a bow tie or some kind of tie, and he'd look something like this. He would also be nicely groomed due to the fact that he is valet. Um, his fiance, if you will, um, Christine, she would be a cook. So she would have a long dress that would go down past her ankles most likely, and she'd have on a apron and a head handkerchief as well. But her dress wouldn't be as nice as Miss Julie's. It'd probably be a plain dress, something like this, and she would look something like that. And those are the real main characters through the story. The Count, Miss Julie's father, would most likely be in a nice suit, nicer than a jean suit, and he'd probably have jewelry attached to that. And that's all the characters.